Okay, I was thinking, what would make a great subscribe logo on my YouTube page? And then I thought about the wrench. Specifically a 1/2-inch Craftsman. So taking that idea I had about the subscribe wrench, I decided to draw one. And it kind of starts with me making this little profile here in AutoCAD Inventor. And I'll make a 3D model based on sketches and renders of the sketches into models. Let's check it out. Once I take the profile into an extrusion, I kind of make it wide like this, like the wrench would be. Then I start adding where the crescent's going to be over here. I kind of made an elliptical circle, which kind of duplicates, you know, the crescent wrench and kind of the basic perimeter of the wrench. You can see over here I just drew the crescent. And it'll kind of cut out like this. Like you'll see this. So this here it'll all be removed. And later on, when I actually do the model, I'll kind of make little fillets and radiuses and clean up these little sharp corners over here. On the other side is where the 12-point section will be for the 12-point box section of the wrench. And what I've done there is I'll create this kind of extrusion, which will generate a kind of like the whole kind of socket box setup, and then I'll punch a 12-point hole right through it in the middle, like that. See, I'll create this like little 12-point section there, and you can see it's kind of at an angle in relationship to the way the wrench is going to be. Let's go and see what it's going to look like as a model now. Okay, so I'm making a little bit more progress on the wrench here. I'm putting a little bit more radiuses in the corners to give it a little bit more realistic look. You know, get these little sharp edges done. So we get the crescent to look perfectly like a 1/2-inch crescent should look like. Then I'm going to work on the 12-point section next. Been doing this so far for about 2 hours. Just get an idea of what it takes just to make a little wrench for a subscribe logo on YouTube. Okay, so I had to create another work plane so I could put this 12-point box wrench end at an angle in relationship to the crescent, which is kind of how it's done on the tools. So I created a work plane with the intersection of these two parts, and now I'll continue on making the 12-point section. Okay, so the hardest part is all done now. The wrench is pretty much complete, and I just got to put the subscribe logo right over here. Okay, now you can get an idea of the final product. This is kind of what the subscribe wrench is going to look like. It's all finished. I just have to render it now and finish. I'm going to basically emboss the subscribe and make the subscribe red. Okay, so you can see how I added the subscribe to the center of the wrench and how I embossed it. And that's how the whole wrench is going to look. Now I'm going to just texturize the wrench and it's all done. Pretty sweet, huh? So it took me approximately about 3.5 to 4 hours to make this part. As far as a 3D model goes, I just finished a little bit more texturing on it, a couple of the surfaces. Okay, so I got to thinking, none of the tools in my shop look clean, so I decided that I was going to make this wrench a little rusty, and I use a program called 3ds Max to put like textures onto stuff. So what I ended up doing was I found some rust textures, and I ended up making the wrench very rusty. So you can get a better look at how this thing looks now. So now that this model is kind of to my liking, I love the texture, I love what I did here with the subscribe logo and the embossing. Normally this would have the Craftsman logo here, but it says subscribe. And then what I'm going to do now is I have to kind of export this model into another program to generate the graphics that I normally do. So really, thanks for taking the time watching how I did this crazy idea that I had, and check out my channel. Subscribe to it. Click on the wrench below.